Mangwana ni mwalelepo vukenjani class vana ve Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning. This is your portal into Africa's potent stories, bringing you authoritative reporting from across the continent and beyond. In today's broadcast, Uganda's tense post-election period sees more than 100 opposition supporters charged in court. We examine a major climate finance initiative targeting emerging economies. We track security developments in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and review key global health milestones outlined by the World Health Organization. Our program also features a Botswana report with Rorisang Mogojwe with particular focus on their crumbling healthcare system and, of course, economic insights. And we talk about tourism earnings as well. And Senegal continues to celebrate their victory. Africa Good Morning can be watched on DSTV285 GOTV 25, 1up2.com, NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA and NTV Afrika on YouTube. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly.
Life is unpredictable and one needs to be protected against any eventuality. Get Santam legal access from as little as $50 Namibian a month for when you find yourself in need of legal representation due to civil cases, criminal prosecution, and family matters such as divorce, child maintenance, and custody. It also covers labor disputes, disciplinary hearings, and unfair dismissal or retrenchment. With Santam Legal Access, you'll receive free legal advice on almost every legal aspect, whether the specific matter is covered by your policy or not. For true peace of mind and legal protection when you need it most, call us on 061 292 8000. Santam. This is freedom.
Let's get into the top stories. Over 100 members of Uganda's largest opposition party have been charged with multiple offenses linked to violence surrounding last week's general election, according to court records and party officials. The suspects were arrested in Kampala and appeared before the City Hall Magistrates Court, facing charges that include unlawful assembly, conspiracy, inciting violence, public nuisance, and possession of election materials. President Yoweri Museveni was declared the landslide winner of the January 15 vote, securing just over 71% against opposition challenger Bobi Wine, who received 24%. Wine and his National Unity Platform rejected the results, citing alleged irregularities such as ballot stuffing, intimidation by security forces, and enforced disappearances of polling agents. Wine said he escaped a military raid on his home and accused police of vandalism, though he did not disclose his whereabouts. NUP lawyer Kato Tumusime said at least 118 supporters were charged. Party Secretary General David Rubongoya denied involvement in violence, saying many detainees were accredited polling agents. Scattered protests erupted after results were announced, but were quickly suppressed using tear gas and arrests. We move on. Britain's development finance institution, British International Investment, announced it will anchor a new $1 billion blended finance fund aimed at expanding climate-related investment across emerging markets. They said it would contribute $40 million to the Allianz Credit Emerging Markets Fund, which is managed by Allianz Global Investors and was launched in London. The fund has already secured $690 million in commitments. Development finance institutions and multilateral lenders will provide $150 million in concessional capital designed to absorb initial losses, while private investors are expected to contribute as much as $850 million. If the fundraising target is achieved, the vehicle would rank among the largest blended finance funds created to date. Blended finance combines public and private capital to address development challenges and has regained attention as governments seek to narrow the multi-trillion-dollar global climate financing gap. However, reviews by the OECD and World Bank have highlighted concerns about complexity and reliance on public funds. The fund plans to invest across emerging economies, allocating about 40% to Africa, with remaining resources spread across other regions at sectors including renewable energy, clean transport, agriculture, and financial services. In our next story, The Congolese armed forces say they have regained full control of the city of Uvira in South Kivu province. And this is after the withdrawal of Rwanda-backed M23 rebels. The armed group seized the strategic lakeside city in early December, but later announced it was placing Uvira under the responsibility of the international community. However, on Sunday, pro-government Wazalendo fighters entered the southern districts of the city, followed later by Congolese special forces, according to government sources. Now, authorities confirmed the city's complete recapture on Monday. Residents cheered as fighters arrived, though several local sources reported incidents of looting, targeting shops and homes during the takeover. Despite the announced withdrawal, residents said M23 police and military personnel had remained active in Uvira for weeks. The rebels previously claimed their pullback was in response to a request from the United States. South Kivu officials later warned that M23 combatants had repositioned themselves in the hills overlooking the city from where they could still threaten residents. The security situation remains fragile as authorities attempt to re-establish order and reassure civilians following weeks of instability and shifting control. And the loss of our top stories. The World Health Organization says 2025 marked a year of historic progress and persistent challenges for global health, underscoring the necessity of international cooperation. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus highlighted the adoption of the Pandemic Agreement and amendments to the international health regulations, including a new pandemic emergency alert level. Governments also increased contributions to WHO's core budget. Negotiations continue on the pathogen access and benefit sharing system to ensure rapid data sharing and equitable access to vaccines and treatments. Beyond pandemic preparedness, WHO validated vaccine safety, issued guidance on innovations including injectable lenacapavir for HIV prevention and GLP-1 therapies for obesity, and supported humanitarian responses in multiple crisis zones. Immunization remained central, with global measles deaths falling 88% since 2000, malaria vaccines rolling out in 24 African countries, and 86 million girls vaccinated against HPV. Several countries achieved disease elimination milestones, including river blindness in Niger and malaria-free certification for others. WHO also responded to 48 emergencies in 79 countries, reaching over 13 million people, while warning that funding cuts and attacks on healthcare threaten future progress. And we'll be talking more about healthcare, but particularly in Botswana, where there is an unfolding healthcare crisis. And who better to take us through it than Rorisang Mogojwe, who joins Africa Good Morning after the break.
To be entertained? We've got you. GOTV's got more shows just for you.
That's right.
More movies?
Yes, jackpot.
More kids shows?
Of course.
And more football than anywhere else.
No doubt about it.
Yes, we've got more. And we've got you. Pay for your current GOTV package and we'll upgrade you to the next highest package. Get more with GOTV. At home or on the go with GOTV Stream. GOTV. Love it.
This is Africa Good Morning. It's time for us to talk to Rorisang Mogojwe as she delivers the Botswana report. Dumela.
Dumelang, good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here on Africa Good Morning.
Africa Good Morning, indeed, Rorisang, but as we both know, it hasn't been a good morning for Botswana's public health system, and now the Ombudsman has sounded off.
The health crisis in Botswana continues to deepen, it continues to worsen, and this became clear this week when the Office of the Ombudsman was releasing findings into a 6-month-long investigation into Botswana's ailing public health sector. And when he was releasing these findings into the probe, which was initiated in August of last year, Ombudsman Stephen Tiruakhosi said this investigation revealed deep operational challenges throughout the system, with the country's main referral facility, that is Princess Marina Hospital, emerging as the most severely overstretched. Currently, what has been happening now, what we do know and what has been reported, is that surgeries are being postponed due to a lack of medication and equipment. Hospital pharmacies are operating on limited stock, which forces patients to turn to private facilities, and patients are queuing from as early as midnight, hoping to be seen by doctors the next morning. Now, when he was releasing these findings, Ombudsman Tiruakhosi said patients at Princess Marina Hospital wait between 36 hours and 120 hours before triage, with further delays of about 3 to 5 days due to congestion and limited resources. And he warned that the hospital is currently operating beyond capacity and is nearing breaking point. He also noted the critical shortage of beds, essential medicines, as well as ambulances at the hospital, which has indeed compromised patient safety and healthcare, as well as service delivery. Many other things were exposed due to the investigation, and this includes a shortage or imbalance of specialist staffing, which has in turn forced the government to rely heavily on private healthcare. Just this year alone, 809 patients were referred to private facilities at a cost of about 300 million pula annually, which is roughly about 600 million pula per week. The ombudsman also noted that ambulance services were identified as another major weakness, with many of these vehicles outdated and experiencing frequent breakdown and also failing roadworthiness standards. Government has spent about 12 million pula outsourcing private ambulances as a temporary measure. And of course, something like this means that service delivery is compromised, not only service delivery, but also patient safety and healthcare. And so the ombudsman has stressed the need for urgent as well as comprehensive reforms, and he has warned that without immediate intervention, the public healthcare services in the country will continue to deteriorate.
And the Office of the Ombudsman is created to advise government to do the necessary. And whatever the necessary is, once you've done our investigation, the matter is essentially off our hands, in the sense that we would agree, for instance, with the Ministry of Health in this case, onto the recommendations, and when and how they choose to implement those recommendations is also subject to many things: availability of the budget, availability of other resources. But at the end of the day, the investigation by the Ombudsman is never and has never been to see his role, because his role at the instance of the employer. It is never the responsibility of the Ombudsman to say, fire so and so, or not that or that other person. That is for the government, upon reading the report, they read it to determine where wrong lies.
Now, as all this is happening, opposition parties are preparing a motion of no confidence against President Advocate Duma Boko. Tell us about that, Rorisang.
So as a result of the collapsing public healthcare system in Botswana, opposition parties are now preparing for a motion of no confidence against President Duma Boko, citing his mishandling of the ailing healthcare sector in Botswana. And this move was announced by the main opposition party, which is the Botswana Congress Party, led by Dumelang Saleshando. And it comes after the recent surprise visit to Princess Marina Hospital here in Gaborone, which we reported about last week right here on Africa Good Morning. And this visit has attracted a lot of mixed emotions. Some say it was a good move, a right step in the right direction, but critics are actually warning that it was just political theater rather than genuine intervention. And so different political leaders are arguing that Botswana's healthcare system remains in crisis months after the state of emergency declaration by the president. And they say that, currently medicines are scarce and patients are told to buy their own, equipment, including bandages and syringes and even life-saving drugs for chronic conditions. And so something must be done. There must be urgent intervention. And so BCP President Dumelang Saleshando sounded alarm on this situation. And when he was addressing the media this week, he also another issue, he also sounded alarm on the president's private international trips, which many have questioned. And the presidency has since come out to defend, saying that these international trips were privately funded with no expense to the taxpayer. But let's hear what a BCP president, who's also the leader of opposition in parliament, Dumelang Saleshando, had to say.
Given an interview and said that Reboko has ticked all the boxes that need to be ticked before a motion of no confidence is brought to parliament. We have a duty as the main opposition to make sure that when a president shows you that irrespective of whether you are in financial crisis or not, now I'm entitled to unlimited private visits at your cost as a country. And when he sometimes travels and no one really knows where he's going to, only those who use technology are able to tell us, and people tell us that we must believe for it. He's using his private or personal funds. When we know the salary of a president, and we know the cost of this trip, and we know that he cannot afford even half of the costs associated with that trip, it simply means that the president has some handlers behind him. We thought he was going to work for us, but he's got some other people who he works for. We are the only country in the world that I know of where a president can disappear for more than a week. What's the reason why he didn't do? He's not a full-time president. He's a part-time president. And that is why this issue of no confidence is being, even before the Botswana approaches our caucus, those of us who sit in parliament can see that the writing is on the wall. The motion is necessary. Even if you don't have the numbers, the truth does not need numbers to be said. It needs principled men and women. Some outside of our party may vote for us and send a strong message to their own leader. They have a choice to stand up and be counted, but they can choose to keep quiet and see the country sink. We need to change this culture. Ya gore re tla didimana ka gore gongwe ha nka bua ke tloga ke sa ni ministera kana ha ke le ministera ha nka re ke ntsha musi ka sekhurumelo ke tla latlhegelwa ke koloi e ntsho. This country is bigger than the black car, and people must learn, or with or without the black car, you must say your truth. And that is why I'm not today. I'm not going to go to them cap in hand and saying please the kere and to say get. Because I owe it to Botswana, and I think they will appreciate that their side of the argument has been articulated, even when I'm deprived certain privileges that ordinarily I'm entitled to. We must still proceed with the job. I don't know if there's anyone.
Safe to say that we can expect a lot from Botswana's political world, and we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that potential motion of no confidence. And unfortunately, things don't get any better, Rorisang, because Botswana's government is warning of a possible cash crunch by March 2026 as reserves dwindle.
The Ministry of Finance has revealed that Botswana government coffers are nearly empty. This was revealed through the draft 2026-2027 budget strategy paper, which revealed that funds in the government investment account, or the GIA, at the Bank of Botswana have declined sharply due to weak revenue collection, particularly in the year 2024. Now, the ministry says the GIA balance fell to just 251 million pula by December 2024, which is down from 8.6 billion pula just a year earlier. Although there was a modest recovery in 2025, the position remains fragile, with the balance standing at 2.14 billion pula in October 2025, which is still below the 2.85 billion pula recorded during the same period in 2024. Now, according to the ministry, cash inflows have been unpredictable and often insufficient in order to meet government spending needs. And so with these persistent budget deficits, as well as depleted savings, continued reliance on the GIA to finance operations could actually exhaust the account by the end of March this year. And so the ministry is warning that this could result in delayed payments to suppliers, as well as other obligations, worsening payment arrears.
Thank you very much, Rorisang, for delivering the stories from Botswana.
That is all from me with the Botswana Report. Until next time, Africa, good morning.
That is all for now, at least, Rorisang. We're certainly looking forward to getting updates on these very potent stories next week, Wednesday. From me, Anshin Berry, DSTV285 GOTV 251up2.com, Network Media Hub, NTVAFRIKA.MY.NA is where you can find Africa Good Morning and other NTV programs. I'm going to say goodbye, but we will leave you with the economic indicators. See you tomorrow as we delve into South Africa.